Mario Kart 8, the most successful Switch game as of December 2022 at least. Of course this game is going to receive DLC, we said 5 years ago. The announcement came at the tail end of the February 2022 Nintendo Direct, announced as there was rumors and, well, blatant desperation for Mario Kart 9, and we were ready for some new stuff. So at first the announcement of remastered tracks was a little disappointing, but the fact that we were getting 48 released over waves until the end of 2023 sounded amazing. All for a good price. That was doubling the base game's total amount of tracks, and tracks are honestly the very core of Mario Kart. The f*** else are you gonna do? But there was something off about this DLC that I noticed from the very start, and was insanely confused why no one else was commenting on this, even among my friends. The visuals, what is this? Let's take a trip through time for a moment. I love the original Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, probably had maybe between 50 to 100 hours. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I have 285 hours, and maybe 40 of those at most were after the DLC had begun to release. So I have a lot of fondness for this game, and when you play the same tracks over and over and over, memorizing all these layouts, you begin to appreciate all the little things that you might not notice at first. Things like the stellar visuals and the fantastic big band orchestral soundtrack. That, alongside online multiplayer so the races and skill level feel different and more challenging each time, kept me playing this game for a long time. My point being, there's going to be a lot less to appreciate replaying these new tracks over and over and over. Sure, they look okay, but I think you got to admit this is an objective downgrade, at least for Wave 1. We'll talk about other waves later. But fret no more, for I have discovered the culprit behind the stolen textures, and that culprit would be none other than Mario Kart Tour. For those of you who don't know, Mario Kart Tour is a mobile version of Mario Kart that rotates tracks every 2 weeks for a tour themed around some style or type of place. So this game has some unique tracks in it, as well as remastering a bunch of old tracks, a lot from Mario Kart 7, and recently a lot of GBA tracks to give them more elevation and style compared to their original versions. My point with all this being that it's clear these tracks all get ported from Tour into the new Booster Course Pass, and hence why there's such a difference in both visual quality and style to the regular base game. But I know Nintendo can do better than just porting all these tracks from a mobile game. However, Mario Kart Tour might just be the only reason we're getting the Booster Course Pass at all. But just look at the base game, detailed textures and modeling galore. Maybe these courses would be acceptable because we always throw around the excuse that, oh, the Switch can't handle anything too intensive. Poor little guy. But we've already seen how well they can optimize the visuals in these tracks on a last generation console in 2014. There is an 8-year difference between these. Just comparing these courses side by side, it's so apparent that these remastered tracks are pretty lazy ports from Tour with the Mario Kart 8 lighting engine and a few enhanced and borrowed textures, sometimes. I hate what they do with grass and mountains, especially in this pass. No actual realistic textures whatsoever for the mountains, just modeled in, super chiseled rocks and boulders that could just fall apart as soon as they're given a slight nudge. And the grass is just completely flat color. Ugh. And there are of course the trees, the biggest indicator, along with any instances of text, that the style here is completely different, less realistic and less detailed. It's not like you don't notice it either, and some of these it's just, bro, this is night and day. They are just worse, and they don't look completely awful, but they're a bit jarring at the very least. I guess one defense could be the pricing. Getting about one track for 50 cents USD is a pretty great deal, and 48 of them at that. But as YouTuber Silacorp pointed out, the original Mario Kart 8 Wii U DLC came out to around 75 cents USD per track if you value the extra character and kart parts included at $0. With rough estimates for those extras, you could arguably say the tracks in there were also sold for 50 cents USD each, and more than half of them were brand new track designs with their own unique assets. Same for the battle tracks created for the new battle mode in Deluxe. They look great. This was 5 years ago. I have to assume there's a reason for putting what is likely an entirely new team onto this Booster Course Pass. I personally think it's because a Mario Kart 8 sequel might be in the works, but Nintendo saw just how well Mario Kart 8 is sold that they thought they couldn't possibly waste this chance to make even more money from this game, potentially more than Mario Kart 9 would even sell. So they threw the mobile team onto the Booster Course Pass, the ones who created the new and remastered Mario Kart Tour tracks, and said, hey, sub together a quick selection here that'll be a bit of fun for the fans. But although this style works well for a mobile game, it doesn't translate very well to a high definition console, especially when half the game has already cemented a gorgeous style for its own. But one bonus in all this is that compared to the original Mario Kart 8 DLC for Wii U, you don't have to pay for the Booster Course Pass to play these tracks online, which is quite cool as it doesn't completely split the online player base in half into who can and can't select these tracks. If someone in your lobby also has paid for the DLC, you can vote for them in that lobby without owning it too. And online is probably the place Mario Kart 8 veterans will be playing these tracks the most, so this is one of the only arguments in favor of the clearly lower budget for this whole DLC course pass. Wave 1 launched to some very eager fans on March 18th, 2022. Constant refreshing of the game and checking for updates were abound. We were very nervous to see just how well these tracks would be implemented. Turned out they got their own extra menu here with a nice purple background and icons that match the style of the base game. This was something I was genuinely worried about, just the possibility of these tracks being absolutely hacked into the game with zero grace. But luckily, everyone besides the guys responsible for the lackluster visual design brought their A game, and we got all new big band remixes Mario Kart 8 style for every song here, and that made me so happy to see an attempt to organically introduce 48 new tracks. So first up in Wave 1 of the DLC, we have the Golden Dash Cup, where now with the Booster Course Pass we have the chance to get a more permanent access to the tour exclusive tracks, since that game rotates them around constantly and they rarely see the light of day. That being said, the first couple Tour City tracks are pretty boring, being placed at the start of every cup. First up we got Tour Paris Promenade, which sends us around a little city area, then gliding through the Eiffel Tower and then dodging a piranha plant. That's about it. You do it again, but on the third lap we see these strange arrows sending us around this little side street and back around to do the entire thing backwards, which is a pretty cool idea. The original Tour City tracks had different variants like 1, 2, and 3, and even 4 sometimes with different alternate parts. So what they did here, so we didn't have to get 4 instances of the same track, is merge them all into one. Unfortunately, Paris just consists of doing the track backwards, but they still incorporated that into the track design, and I think that's pretty cool, but otherwise it's still a fairly flat track. And my god, do things like these untextured planet boxes and the really flat buildings not work for me. Next up is 3DS Toad Circuit. We're hitting the ground running with this one. First off with the good. The remix of this song really hit me with the, whoa, yeah, there are new Mario Kart 8 tracks. I love how well it fits. The track itself isn't the worst basic circuit track you could pick, but it is pretty nothing. It has a glider ramp that opens up later to go over a bridge, and a tunnel and a shortcut bit, but that's about it. Now for the elephant in the room. The textures here are abysmal. I've gone on about them enough, but when your whole track is outside and your natural textures are this flat, it doesn't do your track a whole lot of favors. When the 3DS version looks better, my god, look at this vibrant green beautiful grass. Man, you know you messed this up. And while we're here, I may as well mention how much I hate this starting line. It's such a pet peeve at this point, but it looks so unnatural jutting out of the ground like that. And it's like that for every track here. Next up is N64 Choco Mountain, which might just suit the new visual style the best out of this wave. Like, it doesn't look completely horrible. The cartoony untextured wood here is still gross of course, but as for the track itself compared to the N64 original, this version is pretty good, with creating a bit more of an identity for itself with the cave and glider section. I like these changes. This cave though, something about how it looks is completely uncanny. It just doesn't fit right and looks so amateurish with all these stupid jagged rocks everywhere. This cave should not be standing up like that, it makes literally no sense. Now, Wii Coconut Mall. This is a beloved track. I love this track. It's not my favorite, but it's great. But it doesn't look great here at all. First of all, I hate the text they use in this pass in general, just the standard Mario font on everything. It looks incredibly lifeless, like compare it to the original signpost outside. But the track is still pretty fun. It does feel less chaotic in a lot of ways, but it's hard to tell if that's a track design thing or a different physics engine across Mario Kart 8 and Wii thing. Just little things sort of annoy me here. I wish they kept these steps instead of these harsh green ramps, because they clash a lot with the orangey color scheme they went for here. The top glider section not being glass anymore, this little ramp outside with an item box on it is gone, the dodging of the cars to try and gain some speed from the booster pads in the final section, all just gone. They did later on add some movement to the cars, which can be pretty intense, but you can still just swerve out to the side and dodge them left and then right, but before you risk going near them in reward for a speed boost, which I thought was more engaging. It just doesn't feel like a shopping center overall anymore. It feels like a cheap theme park, especially with these brightly colored conveyor belts that make no sense being in a shopping center. Fuck you, I'm not saying mall. It was so much better trying to figure out which way to go in the original. And I reckon they could have made these jumps send you a lot higher if they wanted, especially on parts like these trees and the water fountains. Also, I hate these tracks for these stupid little curves and things like this. This is stupid. Fuck these little divots, just make it go straight. Please, I don't care how the guys in the car park are gonna get out, they can stay there for all I care. But I guess it's still Coconut Mall, it's still fun, especially online with real players all cramped in these tight spaces, but it's not quite right to me. The music slaps though, great remix. Following after the Golden Dash Cup is the Lucky Cat Cup, beginning with Tour Tokyo Blur. Another fairly bland one. It doesn't feel like the best representation of Tokyo, a huge sprawling city, but it does okay. At least this one has multiple routes per lap, once around the temple area, once through some streets and thwomps, and once through the highway. That's probably the best lap, and doing 3 different routes is an awesome idea. But the usual complaints still apply. I hate to be that guy, but this water looks awful and the buildings are extremely flat and stylized. Like compare these cities to Koopa City. I'm sorry. No ill intent to anyone who likes these courses, I still have fun with them. I really do. I'm just thinking long term with these here. I just want to make sure my stance is clear. And next up is Shroom Ridge. Oh, for fuck's sake, guys. Please, I take it back. Can we go back to Tokyo? There is no texture here. But you know what? This track is awesome too. That's the saddest part. Sure, the traffic makes no sense. It would be cool if like the original, the cars went different ways. But I mean, they're literally driving around a circle over and over. So I don't think there was much logic here to begin with anyway. But this music is an absolute groove. And the cars are so fun to dodge with this nasty shortcut off the cliff at the end. This track, honestly, online feels phenomenal. But guys, did I mention the visuals actually ruin the whole thing? And here we are at Sky Garden, which retains almost nothing good about the original. Sure, it adds some curves and stuff. I mean, this section would have been perfect for anti-grav, but what do I know? It just ends up as shitty cloud top cruise. I want my green floor back. This course is okay. That's about it really. I don't know what else to say about it. They cut out huge sections of the original layout. It's just pretty no matter how much the music slaps. And finally, we've arrived at the end with Tour Ninja Hideaway. I mean, Nintendo Switch Ninja Hideaway, because they forgot to show the prefix, so sure guys, pretend this is from Nintendo Switch even though it's not at all because it appeared in Tour like forever ago. Who knows, maybe the original intent was to create this course for Mario Kart 8, but it sure as hell doesn't feel like it at this one turn here. But besides that really hard turn that's just a 90-degree corner, this course is great. It actually feels like something from the base Mario Kart 8, and this is where the visuals are at their best. Sure, it's still stylized, but there's a greater extent of detail here. No, it's no base game track, but the banging music and amazing track layout with a consistent top and bottom route throughout the whole thing is amazing. God, this is a difficult track too, I love it. And driving across this roof tiling, this is amazing. I love the theming of this track too, what a great idea. Anyway, after all that, we actually end on a decently high note, despite the jagged, untextured bumps along the way. Overall, I just feel like once this pass is all done, I'm not going to enjoy seeing these shitty Play-Doh tracks be picked over and over again later down the line. It feels so much harder to immerse myself in these worlds. You guys want to see true immersion? You apologists better buckle the fuck up. Like, holy shit guys, this music and these sprawling lush woods and treetop structures. Now you're flying through a whole little treetop village and down a floating stream of water down a branch. You want more? Bam, Electrodrome. I hope you brought your fucking extra pair of legs jumping up and down in this massive rave. And oh my god, what the fuck, driving on side of a dam. Guys, I've decided to give up YouTube to become an Olympic skier. I'm just that insane. Woo!